So what you need to know, or what we need to know to help us make the right choices, we would have established, when you look at decision and choice, that a decision is defined as a conclusion or resolution reached after consideration, and choice is an act of selecting or making a decision possibilities. Choice connects us to our desired intentions, our values, beliefs, and decisions are connected to places. The most important decision you can make, decisions, things you do, but the things that you decide not to do. Because you can only decide not to do something based on the knowledge or the information that you would have had. Not making a decision is actually a decision. It's a decision to stay the same. And this was said by a priest himself. He said, my basic principle is that you don't make decisions because they are easy. You don't make decisions because they are cheap. You don't make decisions because they are popular, but you make decisions because they are right. What we need to know in order to make the right choices, first of all, we must know right from wrong. We have to know right from wrong. But sad to say that even church people today are confused as it relates to right from wrong. And so we find that instead of the church becoming a light and the church standing as an example, it seemed to me that the church is following those who are leading in these times. Now, observation reveals a majority of church people are wrong. Watch the church today. Watch the foolishness that is happening in the church. And I'm still asking myself if we still have the Bible as our basis for operating and functioning. Now, if the Bible is our basis for functioning, the confusion that we have it because this, regardless of the colors, doesn't tell us one thing and another one tells us the other thing. It is the word of the Lord. So if you go to a particular church and they read it, you say at the end of it, this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Because we still believe that it is the word of the Lord. We would have established that we have a generation in crisis. This generation is in crisis. I had a kind of, around this phone, about after 1, I woke up with a kind of dream I was having in relation our young people in our nation and a couple things. And I just couldn't dismiss that. I was up from that time to about after 4, as a matter of fact, and just praying. And then sometime after that, I just went into the veranda again, and I was there. This Friday morning, I'd like to confirm it. There was also this other dream about yet our young people, and was kind of disturbing, had me. But we have a generation that is in crisis now. There's a cry that is coming forth. Somebody help me. Hello? Not verbally, but as you walk, you realize this is a generation in Christ. We establish also that truth matters. If we are going to build a solid nation, we must stand for truth. Hello? We must speak truth. We must live lives of truth, because we are living in times when we look, we are seeing that the foundations are being destroyed. And it's an issue of truth. Our youth are confused about truth. And we spoke a lot about that the other day in talking about it, because they're really confused. They don't even know who they are, trying to get them. They don't even understand who they are. They are confused. Then we talk about absolute truth and why truth matters. We observe that we have a seismic shift. I don't know how many of you this morning felt the tremor, but there was a tremor this morning. Anybody here felt it this morning? A couple persons felt it. There was a tremor. So some of you died and you did not even realize that you are gone. You know, things are moving. The place is shaking. You understand what I'm saying? He's just moving. Somebody just said, "Thank God I'm saved, regardless of I was going to heaven anyhow." But brothers and sisters, I was sitting at the desk this morning and I realized that we had a little shake. We observe, brothers and sisters, because you have to be so careful, the birth of modern culture. All right? So we have the modern culture that seemed to be sweeping in. We have the two models of truth. As time goes by, the advent of mass media, don't underestimate that. The rise of materialism, the widening influence of public school. Now, I just finished doing a Bible study with Shanti Mel. We've been looking at pornography. And now we started a study looking at homosexuality. Is homosexuality a sin? And then one of the persons who is an educator, in their developmental session, they had somebody who came in and start up, as it were, with the Bible, talking about the Old Testament. And we have to be so careful with the word inclusion. And inclusion, when they talk about inclusion these days, they in a certain way, brothers and sisters, they try to manipulate the way. They're not talking about the physically challenged, while they may use that, but inclusion has a deeper meaning, because they have their agenda and they want us to sanctify it, glorify it, and legalize it. But if you are a student of the word, brothers and sisters, you would stand your grounds. So there's a widening influence of public schools. Hello? 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 My heart moved these days, you know. I'm looking. So far, I've been to a couple of schools and I watch a number of children and I watch them, how innocent they are as they enter, especially those who enter secondary school. I was in St. Mark Secondary School, man, the Form 1s, they're full of life. Tell you they could clap everything they clap in, man. And I watch them, and you just watch raw children as they would, from time. I sat on the stage and I watched them as they would talk and talk. And then the principal was giving some information, and you could see they came from primary school but still have not left primary school yet. So in trying to write down, they try to write and they realize pen and writing, and they, you know them thing when you knock your pen and they hold it and they start to blow. Hello? And then we are also becoming a generation of first. We are the first to introduce this. We are the first to do that. We are the first to have this. And you'll hear many times the politicians making a boast about it. We say we need more facts than fiction. Then we need to sit down with our youths and find out how our youths, how they view love and sex. Truth make the difference. How are you view marriage and family? You think that they want to get married, and some of them want to get married, but yet they are confused. Should I do it or not? Because fusion. How our youth view faith and religion, truth and believers. And I'll tell you, you know, based on my experience this morning, if God doesn't intervene in this nation, we are going to generation that will put us under pressure. Hello, somebody. Hello? I have to tell you, let me tell you part of the dream. It's like I was traveling one area and I got to a certain point. And when I got to a certain point, I can vividly see the face of one, even now as I speak. With tattoo all over the body and so on. I was surrounded, amen, by a couple of them. One sat down on a chair and demanding that I bow down to him. Hello? Mama? They're going to demand that. I call the shot. You got to bow down. I'm going to call the shots. Hello? Teachers. Police officers. Hello? Think about how they view faith and how they view religion. Then we need to talk about the truth and believers. Do we still have believers? Do believers hold on to the truth? And then part 2, we talk about the defense of truth, the test of truth, the evidence of truth, teaching the truth, coming to terms with the truth. We cannot, brothers and sisters, push away our responsibilities. Got to stand up and we got to be able to teach truth. And you see, once truth is taught, brothers and sisters, truth can defend itself. Truth don't need crutches. Truth don't need support. Truth stands in any weather, any circumstance, any condition, and still remain truth. Hello? In doing his homosexuality a sin with the church at Shantimel. I'm not here, I said to them, I'm not here to give you everything that they believe about the Pride Month and all these and all this and all the other. I am here to give you the biblical foundation so that you can stand in any gathering, and standing in any gathering to stand up and raise your head in any forum and say, according to the Bible, it is a sin. Because the Bible teaches that. We're going to talk about that probably sometime, not today. Then part 3, we must talk about the application of truth. Ever learning, never able to come to the knowledge of the truth? Ever learning, never able to come to the knowledge of the truth? Ever learning, never able, you're not graduating? Ever learning, but you're still in class 1? After 5 years, still in class 1. After 10 years, still in class 1. Ever learning, never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. And sad to say, brothers and sisters, the church is no different. Ever learning, but there must be the application of truth. Hear this. What's the truth about sex? We are going to talk about sex. Not those that teach biology. We are qualified to talk about sex. The church. What's the truth about honesty? We are the ones to teach that and to live, brothers and sisters, honest lives. What's the truth about family? We should be teaching, brothers and sisters, the truth about family, because the family is made up of a man as the father, a woman as the mother, and then you have children. Who tell them that they qualify to do this? But after all, if the church is not doing it, they take the responsibility to do it. And they're going to tell ourselves. We were happy to know that our dear Minister of Education, I think on the newspaper is the Grenadian Voice, declaring that this thing about introducing homosexuality in our school is not part of it. And we have to take it for what it is. But, brothers and sisters, the enemy has ways of bringing what he wants to bring. Hello? Hello? What will cause our children to stand and to be And to be effective, brothers and sisters, is the fact that they would know truth. So whenever error comes, they'll be able to stand their ground in believing and trusting God in this regard. Are you in agreement with me that our young people are facing a crisis of truth? Huh? The headline screams weekly of classroom violence. How many of you already? This is just the first week that gone. Some children already had to be sent home. Hello? Huh? Hello? Hello, no? When I was at St. Mark, after the assembly, they took the children in different groups. Some went on the hard coach, others went there. And what they had to do, when I was going to school, that was never part of it. You had, as it were, teachers there with tape line the children know the length of the pants and the size of the foot. You know, giving all the teachers and all this work. And I stayed for a while and I watched them, had to take them, those with the skirts and all of it. Are you hearing me? Now, the question is, well, where are the parents? Where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? And I'll tell you something that you don't want to hear this morning, but I have to tell you, in a lot of our schools, brothers and sisters, it has been said that some of the most bad behaved children come from Christian churches. Hello? There is no quick fix to that, but we have to work on it. Hello? Somebody, stay with me now, man. The test of truth. The test of truth. I am standing these many years because I've been tested many times. And you are standing because you've been tested. Christianity is not just left alone. Once you become a Christian, you're exposed to everything outside there. What will cause you to stand in the midst of all of that is the fact that you know truth. You stand in truth because truth is not going to let you down. Kill me, but I'm going to stand for truth. Mr. Principal, I'm going to stand for truth. Police officer, I'm going to stand for truth. Wifey, you're going to stand for truth. House, you're going to stand for truth. Whoever you are going to stand for truth, because the Bible said if you know the truth will set you free. Let me just move on a little bit because I believe it is important. I just want to do this. We talk about what is absolute truth. Absolute truth is what is true for all people, for all times, for all places. Absolute truth. Hello. So if you're a Christian in Grenada and you move to America, truth doesn't change. If you move to Canada, it doesn't change. If you go in the desert, it still doesn't change. Paul was banished to the Isle of Patmos, but truth did not change. Alone on the island with skulls, skeleton. But when the Lord appeared, he was still in the spirit. Because he knows truth, it doesn't change. Hello. Let me just move on a little bit because we want to sing. Hear why truth matters. Now, this is one of the astounding insights. Study indicates that when our youth do not accept an objective standard of truth, they become more likely to lie to their parents, more likely to cheat on an exam, more likely to physically hurt someone, more likely to watch a pornographic film, more likely to get drunk. Hello. More likely to steal, more likely to use illegal drugs, and more likely to attempt suicide. If your child fails to embrace truth standard that governs their lives, study shows that it will make them more likely to mistrust people, more likely to be disappointed, more likely to be angry with life. Look at the number of them. They're just angry. Are you living in Grenada? Huh? Young people are just angry with life. What about it? You're just angry. Not only that, but they'll be more likely in lacking purpose. A lot of them don't even have purpose. I sit down and I watch some young people these days, particularly in the sporting field, and I'm asking some young fellas from River Sally and other places, under God heaven, you have a talent, particularly football and cricket. I mean, how come people still have to be begging you? When I used to play football, nobody used to beg us. We have a game on a particular day. We never used to take bus from River Sally to go to Plains. I would run from River Sally. Others would run from Latas. Those fellas from Plains, they jog, come across. When you get to the playing field, you're already wet, you sweating. But guys sitting down now waiting for bus. Hear this. Not only that, we used to be doing work. As a matter of fact, when I started off, I was pastoring. Get up in the morning, go to training. After training, do things at home, still come to church and preach. How much we were playing for first prize? 1,000 EC dollars. Ask them now how much they're paying them for first prize now, just for a few games. $100,000. And we still have to push them. English League and all this kind of thing. You hear a man sign a contract for 3 years, $33 million. Well, how could you lack purpose? Hello? And save some of them, they still want academic education, you know. But here what is going to happen now, if you're hearing me via the medium, this medium here today, the truth is, to get a scholarship, they'll ask you for your academic background. And they're more likely to be resentful. Watch today. How are you think about truth has a definite effect on the behavior? Watch the behavior. And it's nothing short, brothers and sisters, of a lack of truth. If you know truth, truth will set you free. The choices they make, look at the attitudes that they adopt. And so it is important for us. Then we talk about the magic lenses. But what is it about truth that affects behavior? It works like this. When you believe there exists an objective standard for distinguishing right from wrong, that certain things are right for all people, for all times, and for all places. So if you travel, you don't drop it. In the absence of church members, you don't practice stupidness. Hello, somebody. Pastors don't have to be peeping you and following you. Neither church members, pastors have to be looking at us to see if we're walking right. Hello. Let me move on very quickly. Our youths are accepting counterfeit. Why? Because they are seeing their choices through faulty lenses. They have embraced a worldview about truth that blinds them to the difference between right and wrong, the difference between the counterfeits and the real. Sad that our children are not able to distinguish the counterfeit from the real. Even church people. Hello? Are these flowers in front here live or artificial? Hello? Let me just move on quickly. Most of the counterfeit that our young people are accepting because they offer immediate benefits. No, I want it no. No, no. You're going to no, no. I can't wait. No, 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 no. While right choices seem to offer more long-term, long-range benefits, Are you hearing me, brothers and sisters? You see, you could want it no, 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 and destroy yourself, but you wait upon the Lord and God come true for you. After many years, you are still standing. You have something that you can hold on to than just something that you just had immediately, and it's just gone. That's why they do anything. Hello. Hey? They don't want to walk. That's long term. They prefer to gamble, immediate, win the lotto. And we promote it. Hello? You got to be in it to win it. And right across the country, as it were, brothers and sisters, we have seen those black buildings that they run into. They don't want to work. Just sit down and play cards. I called a couple of young fellas the last time who were gambling, and I asked them, tell me something about this. Are these guys that you're gambling, are they your friends? Yes. Your partners? Yes. Sometimes you all borrow each other's thing because you blink sometimes with the chain. Huh? And it's a generation, they borrow one another's shoe when they're ready. You know what I'm talking about? Because they have ambition. They borrow a shirt or pants. And I asked the young fella, I said, tell me, if this man is your partner and you know the man work, he has a family, how could you feel comfortable, sit down, play cards with him, and then just pull all the monies one side and sit down and watch him? And he said, you know, I never thought about it. I said, think about it. They want it? No. But they that wait upon the Lord, he still has his virtue. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Come on, somebody. Hallelujah. They want it now, so they want somebody to give them a blight. But let me tell you this, when they give you a blight, you become obligated to them. But when you wait upon your papa and your papa provides it, he doesn't look, brothers and sisters, look for favor. He gives it because he is a loving father. You can stand and say, this is mine. My papa gave it. Come on, somebody, give him some praise. Teach your children. No. No. And they want it now. They want this shoe now. They pass in the store and they want it 300 just to go to school. No. I want it now. One was asked the other day, drop out from school. He said, yeah, man, I drop out from school and so on. And the person said to him, well, you could only be here because, I know that you, my gran and yourself went to school together. She's still at school, so how comes you think? And he said, well, just think. And then the individual asked, so who is providing for you? He said, well, I deal with my mommy and them, and, sometimes I just buy something, helping out in the house. Still under 18, So and the lady said to him, well, if it was me, you have to have your own kitchen, you have to have your own pot, and you have to have your own thing. And they come on, they demanding too, I want food. No. The only thing I want now is fig. But give me chicken now, give me pie now. Hello? Hello? And we have parents that are running to do it, No. Hello? And they can't wait for tomorrow. We have to teach our children again to pray. Trust God. When our daughter was still young, she would ask us for something. And even though we thought of giving it to her, we used to ask her to pray and ask God to provide it for you. God may use us, but pray. So she could tell you about the answer to prayer. I met a young man sometime who was involved in moving from Grenada, going to St. Vincent and all of this. Said, young man, that is going to kill you. And then I said to remember saying to him, I said, boy, just forget that and trust God and all of it. And he gave me a whole history about his life and death that he always almost encountered within the waters and so on. And I remember one day in particular, and I said, God is going to provide for you, young man. And one day I pull up in St. Andrew in the car park, and I heard a knock on the door. And when I watched, I saw the young man. He said, boss, I did what you asked me. And I said, I give it up. He said, I never accustomed asking people for anything, and whatever I wanted, I got it by force. But you told me to trust God. He said, right now I'm broke. I said, all right, I hear you. And I said, let's go upstairs to the bookshop. And we sat down there, and we sat down, and I ordered lunch for both of us. And here we sat down and we ate. And in the process, I was talking to him. And after finishing this, I took a change from my pocket and I gave him to him. And I said, and I told you, God is going to provide. God uses anybody to provide. No! Can't wait! Can't even wait in traffic. Sung, 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 sung. Pop, 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 pop. Sung, 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 sung. Pop, 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 pop. Around corners, nothing. Are you hearing me, brothers and sisters? A crazy world. No. Going nowhere. No. And that's what the devil does. He promised us an artificial kind of satisfaction. Moving very quickly. They reject objective truth. The priests in those days hide the truth from the people. Because every time the people came to offer up for their sins, the priests were benefiting. Could you imagine? They lowered the standards just to allow the people to sin. So that when they came to offer, they were benefiting. God help us. How we have lowered the standard in Grenada, Christianity. Oh, God help us. God help us. It is really a frightening prospect to raise our children in the midst of a perverse and crooked generation. It's not very easy. Hello? I told you the last time, I want to tell you again for the benefit of just saying it. My daughter had a conversation with some young fellas in this community, well, some children. That's even before they do the CPA. And they were able to say to her, I don't want to go to that secondary school when I do the exam. I don't want to go to that one. I don't want to go because as small as they are hearing and they know what's happening, and they're saying they don't want to go to these secondary school because of the fight and the violence and all of it. If they could say that, brothers and sisters, we have to help them. Hello? We have to help them. You see, with all of this, I'm happy to say there is hope. I say I'm happy to say that there is hope. Happy to say that there is hope. And I make a boast of the children we have in this church because we have hope, and Grenada is not going to be the same. And you see, as we face Child's Month, we want to make sure that we get our children involved in a number of. Are you hearing me? A strong message that we still have some children who know God, who still believe in God, who are willing to go all the way because they trust in God. Hello? There is hope. I said there is hope. There is hope. There is hope. There is hope. Making a decision. Brothers and sisters, there is hope. You see, you have to make it right in the home. Are you with me still? Homes are falling apart. We got to make it right in the home. To counter the culture and pass on biblical values to our children. We must begin with ourselves because we are supposed to be, first of all, the example in the home. Children know secrets. They watch us in church and all of this. A young lady stood up one time. She was invited to a function because her mother would have grown old. And they were awarding the mother. And they stood up and they said a lot of lovely things about this mother who is supposed to be a Christian. And it sung lovely in the ears of all the listeners who were there. One of her daughters were crying, sat down there and said, but we don't know this about mommy. What you said that we don't know that. You only see her on Sunday morning and probably Wednesday night. We live in the house with her. So where you get the story from? Must start in the home. Must start in the home. Start with us. I'll tell you something about children. Don't underestimate them, you know. Some of them, you see them in church, you see them playing here, and they playing this. When they go back home, they could give you a whole lesson how Sister Maureen danced, how Sister King danced, how Pastor danced, how Brother Bernard danced, and all of this. And it seemed as though that they were not paying attention. Ask them about the announcement and they will tell you. Allow the Holy Spirit of God to identify and correct ways in which your own worldview and action have departed from the faith of our fathers. What our fathers did. What did they do? Fathers assimilate the test of truth and the evidence. Then we have to make it right in the church. Expose your church to right from wrong. The church must be exposed to right from wrong. What is right and what is wrong? And the church must know that this is right and this is wrong. And you see, as we continue to teach the word of the Lord, let us teach truth. Hello? I grew up under one pastor named Pastor O'Neill Duglin. Never taught us what the cults believe. He said you can simply go in a bookstore and you can go in a bookstore and buy a book in a bookstore on what they believe. He said, my responsibility as the pastor is to teach you what you should know, teach you truth, so that you'll be able to stand because it is important. Empower your church to communicate right from wrong message to adults, youth, teens, and children. And then we need to make it right in the community. We must also be prepared to make it right. If the culture is sour, it must be because the seasoning hasn't been doing its job. Huh? I don't care what happened in Grenada, brothers and sisters. It is not because the police force and the police officers are not vigilant. Are you hearing me? What is happening in Grenada here, there are two very important institutions that fail. One is the home, and secondly, the church. No argument. The nation is sour. Why? Simply because the seasoning hasn't been doing its job. Who are the seasoning? The Bible said, the church, you are the salt of the earth. We are the salt of the earth. Hello. And so we allow our society to become contaminated. Huh? How many of us have the guts to stand up in our communities and say what is right? Let's allow it. How to counter the culture? Let me tell you this, now choose your issues wisely. Right? Not everything that happens in Gray, you have to jump up and talk about it, you know. Hello? Choose your issues wisely. A number of persons called me and talk about a thing about a priest that play thing. What that has to do with me? I said, that's the individual choice. As a matter of fact, it's not the first time the priest played carnival. And he has already explained that Catholics are the ones who play carnival. Adventists and so on. And we want to take up that as though that is a big issue. He has a choice. You have a choice. You could play carnival if you want, or you could stay away from it. So if you play it, you have a reason why you play. You should have a reason why you don't. Ask Dave King why he did not play. Everybody wants to make it some talk and some show about this, and you don't hear the other. And adults about what? Man, choose your wisely. And brothers and sisters, are you hearing me? No weddings, and you're talking about all of this. Devil that is coming inside, trying to destroy your family, but we are not seeing that. Deal with the issue. Stand your ground. Everything that happened in Grenada, you're hearing. Where's the church? All the time we've been raising our voice and talking. Where are you all the time? And we feel that we have to respond. There seem to be hundreds of things happening in our communities, but we can hardly speak out on every issue. It would soon exhaust ourselves and our resources. Are you hearing me? I am standing, I'm speaking for the children because they can't speak. Are you hearing me? I'm not just speaking for adults, I'm speaking for the children because they are the future. And somebody got to rise up and defend them and speak for them and say, no, cannot happen. People are waking up to the madness all around us. You and I have a golden opportunity to step in and stand up with the answer that can protect our communities and children from the anguish, brothers and sisters. Stand your grounds. When you watch on mornings and you see children in your community, does it bother you that some of them don't even have breakfast? Does it bother you that some of them don't have lunch? Does it bother you when you see them up from school, instead of crying them down, you stop and ask them, why you're not at school? And you hear the stories. There is a young lady in this community here. I was telling the wife, there is a young lady in this community in River Sally. Anybody says anything about me, she wants to fly in the throat and bust the throat for me. And the simple reason is, I never remember that. She said to me, Pastor King, you know what happened? She said, I was going to preschool one day. I just didn't want to go to school and home. Somehow, they had a problem in getting me. You passed by, you saw me crying. She said, you stop, you talk to me, you pick me up. Think about the many persons' lives that you touch. One young man was faced with some difficulties one time at school because they probably feel he doesn't worth it. And that story is from the wife. She came to his rescue and said, no, this is what it is. Others would have given up on him and even asked some other teachers, please, could you give him the subject to do? It's a young man now, has his own business and is ever grateful. Huh? She learned something that she never knew before. She had to deal with a student and expel some young fellow from suspend. That's really rough from the teacher to expel, in truth. You know? All right. And apparently when he was walking out from there, probably walking in the road with a rage, started saying what he's going to do to Miss King and what he's going to do to Mrs. King and whatever and whatever. The same young fella that she was able to touch his life heard this young man and said, you know, that Miss King you're talking about? She had a personal guard that she did not hire. Children, don't forget good things you do for them. Hello, somebody. I never forget it. There was one lady, she died now. Are you hearing me? When she died, I begged them. I said, I must come and pay a tribute. And I'm not paying a tribute because when I was just a little boy, walk in the river, my sister and I went to wash walk into the river. Saw people lying down on their back in the basin and floating. And I didn't understand. I just walk in the water and just lie down. And water began entering my nostrils. And I was beneath. My sister was fast washing. And she didn't see that this lady saw from the outside, rush into the water and pull me out. I was ever grateful to her. Never forget that till her death. Still didn't forget it. And every minute step, because I am there and I'm there and I'm there and I'm there with her. The children don't forget it. Fight for them. Wasting time turn the skin. These are adults. Make the choice. And we need to be able to team up with other persons. Numbers, brothers and sisters. We undertook something last Sunday as a church, and we are hoping to get into rosy communities, but focus is from that died in Riverside, and by the somebody here to put your mourning on hold for this one and all of this. And if you look at Riverside, look at the community. We know, and look at other communities. So last week, Sunday, we had a program. Those of you who are not here, you miss a lot. We had Dr. Neil Chaitan, who is hired. All the other countries around want him. He's in Trinity, all of that. And we had a session here because we believe that person needed to be spoken to. How do you cope with this, the stress and all of it? And that's what we're talking about in the Bible study, all this kind of stuff. We come together to be able to do that. What's behind the wrong? When you choose an issue and have a solid behind you, be sure you are prepared. Christians asking me what is wrong with it. Huh? Show me. I respond these two ways. One, what is it? Secondly, couldn't the Bible, where the Bible said you should bathe or you should brush your teeth? You know of us like that that say, brush your teeth in the morning? Wouldn't we do that? Or else if you don't do that, you can't stay present. Although some people are bold enough to do that. And if you're aware of it, you got to talk and you got to, what are you talking about? Because you see, what the Bible calls sin is still sin, but today's society wants you to become like them. I was in that school in SAS, just what they was talking to the Form 2s. And I was talking to them about not allowing people to bring them into that kind of mold. Because the first thing that they want to do is to get you to lose your focus from what is right. Hello? And not only that, but I had to say to them, look, every one of you that sit down here is important and special. Now, the devil is very subtle, you know. Now, he comes after, mother, your child is a special child. Fight for your child and protect that child. It's the potential that you did not see. Hello? Hello? Evander Holyfield was a world champion in boxing. When he was 70 years of age, a coach passing saw him. He looked at him and he said, Evander, one of these days, you're going to become the world champion in boxing. And he said, but I'm only 7. The coach said, yes, you're only 7 now. But you're not going to be 7 for the rest of your life. And he said, I'm going to tell my mama, and if my mama say yes, then I'll go for it. You follow and read if you don't know anything about Evander Holyfield. Just read and you will see for yourself. A young fella in the Caribbean never played first class cricket. Brian Lara went to Barbados to play cricket. They gave up the boy this red ball in his hand. The guy took the ball and he ran up and he threw the ball after Brian Lara. Brian Lara had to duck for his life. Brian Lara looked at him and he said, this boy must play for the West Indies. With his influence, one by the name of Fidel Edwards from Barbados came on the scene, playing one of the teams on the outside in the Caribbean, watching a little boy walking. Everybody asks, who is he? Where is he from? Somebody says from Barbados, Fidel Edwards. Never played regional cricket, but Brian Lara saw. At the end of the day, that little unknown boy was walking out, leading the team. He got 5 wickets. The devil knows the potential of your children and who they can become, because greatness is locked up inside of them and he's coming after them. Are you hearing me? So brothers and sisters, when the children were taken into Babylon, the king Nebuchadnezzar said, choose from among you children in whom there is no blemish. Hello? Well equipped, skill in learning. Huh? And watch the first thing that they did. You know the first thing they did? To get them to feel a part of the system? Only know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But those were not the original names. The original names were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Meant everything towards God. Daniel simply means God my judge. When they took Daniel, they changed his name from Daniel to Belteshazzar, because, you know, the prince god that they had there was Bel. So they said he's now the commander of that. So they changed the name. So they changed the name Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, trying to make them feel a part of the system, because Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, all of these names had connection with those false gods, the god of science, the god of sun, so to get them to feel that they belong to these gods. But because of the truth, these boys stood their ground. Daniel stood, and they said, if Daniel stood, here, let me correct this. People always say Daniel was cast into a lion's den. That's not true. Daniel was cast into a den of lions. A lion's den means that it could be empty, but there were lions in the den. And God shut them out, and watch Daniel and some lions that are hungry. I'm not bowing. Hit the fiery furnace 7 times hotter, but I'm not bowing. You see, the Bible instructs us to put the Lord your God in your heart. Be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear. 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15. Be prepared to offer a moral and ethical and political answer, brothers and sisters. But I say to you, be prepared for opposition. The moment, all right, we or our children support biblical values in public, will be accused of intolerance. Yes, they're accusing us. Now, you ever look at it? I have a statement to make on the whole thing of the homosexuality, putting forward a particular thing. Because here what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell us that the male, he just have the tendencies towards the female and the male, same sex. All right? So that is not bad. You don't think it. But if a man has the tendency to rape, we don't want to cut it out. But that is wrong. Eh? A tendency to go behind just children. Eh? Just molest children in our society. All right? You would hear it sometime. So they want to tell us that now they are coming with a lifestyle, and they want to tell us if we speak against it that we are intolerant. All right? Because we should accept it. All right? You have no right to force your morality on anyone else. That's what they're trying to tell us. If a parent opposes public school curriculum that promotes homosexuality and homosexual union, he or she is labeled as intolerant. If a Christian objects to pornography. But I want to tell us, how come they're not affecting us and they're not hurting us when they come with that stupidness? Why when we stand up that is hurting them, that they want to take illegal? Eh? And then we still have well, let me see if I could rephrase that. We still have church people that supporting these. All right. You know, sometime in the States where you had this person who would make cakes and thing, and this homosexual came and wanted them to make a cake for them with this same-sex thing, and they decided, and they took them to court. And they were arrested. I don't have a problem with that. I know my cell number. So when you come to visit me, just look for the cell number 4030787. Because I prepare to go to jail, brothers and sisters. I'm not going to bow. Not going to support it. And if my organization, which I know will not support it, but if I wake up in the morning and Powie is in support, are you hearing me? Bye-bye, Powie. So we are intolerant. Hello. We used to sit down and watch our children. I remember Saturdays, we used to sit down home, we're doing something, and our daughter watching television, and there was some nice little songs that they were playing and this kind of thing. Now they changed that thing. Now you have to listen to the thing, parents. Hello? All right. We know the family, a man, a woman, and children. They're telling us now, and they're telling your children, nothing wrong with it, and they show you a man and a female, and then children, and then they show you, brothers and sisters, a man and children. Where they come from? A woman and children. That is just against simple biology 101. Hello? And they're taking us to task, you know. They're ready to take the church to task because we want to heap things on them, but they bring it in the school. Right? Let me beg you, please, parents, when your children come, when you get the books, please, the books you're buying, make sure you know the books you're buying. If you don't know it, go watch the pictures. If you don't know the words, watch the pictures. You'll make out the pictures. You must know. Are you hearing me? And then if you're not able to read it right, just take it over. Say, Sister John, Sister Carla, or Sister Kaba, one of you. These are the books for the children. Can you just check it out for me? So we're intolerant. All right? Standing for truth does not violate your personal right of freedom of others. Right? I standing for truth. I don't violate your thing. Hello? I'm just simply standing for truth. Yeah? But you know, manipulation is a type of witchcraft, you know. Hello? Manipulation. All right. I am standing for truth. I don't violate your personal rights or your freedom. Now, if you want to change your sex, you could break your elbow if you want, you know. Are you hearing me? Break your elbow and you could walk how you want. That's your choice. I stand up for truth doesn't violate that. That's what you choose. It is no virtue to tolerate behavior that threatens the morality or safety of our children. The Bible makes it clear that to fear the Lord is to hate evil. We may upset those who use their freedom to indulge the sinful nature according to Galatians 5:13. But Jesus warns us, if the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. So you're not alone. We got to bring it in. Counter the principle, not people. It is people, of course, who advance wrong thinking and behavior. But to be effective in making it right in our communities, we must attack immorality. Hello? Huh? Or the immoral principles, not people. So I'm not attacking you. I am dealing with what you're trying to establish. And I am saying no to it. Now, just before the Apostle Peter admonished Christians to always be ready to make defense, he commands us to be harmonious, sympathetic, brotherly, kind-hearted, and humble in spirit, not returning evil for evil or insult for insult, but giving a blessing instead. All right? So we stand our grounds. The realization may help you to remind us that the opponent of truth should not be the object of hate or scorn. It is possible to make it right in our homes and in our churches. We can even begin making it right in our communities. If the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? What can we do? We can recover the fear of God again in ourselves, in our families, and our church. Don't you find we lacking the fear of God still in our churches? Yeah? Come on, somebody. If we fear God, we're not going to do stupidness and come to church Sunday morning and lift our hands. If we fear God, we'll never do stupidness and still try to be in the choir. If we fear God, we'll never do stupidness and still stand Sunday morning and preach. If we fear God, brothers and sisters, we are going to walk right at all times. And then we would talk about sometime what's the truth about other truth. I want to close on this note. Something else I wanted to share with you, but time would not permit in this session. But there is something that I wrote down that I want us to pay attention to before we leave here today. All right. Why is the unqualified, and educators listen to me, why is the unqualified left to build a foundation in the area of education? At what stage is the most important? What stage do you think? But we don't care about that. No, don't worry about that other one. All right? Hello? We don't care about that. Hello? I will tell you something this morning as I bring this in. Hear this. We leave the foundation of our children to the hands of anybody, so you don't must be qualified to teach at that stage. But everybody look for the degree at the higher stage when they should be there. Pay attention to that. Hello. Now in the church, if somebody not attending church, somebody not attending Bible study, they're not part of this, how come they become a teacher? To lay the foundation. Right? Because this is foundation, What our children learn or early stage of their lives, brothers and sisters, I'll tell you one of the reasons with everything else that I do. And it's not that Sister Alice do assist from time. But you want to know the reason why I do converts class? This is a crucial stage in the life of every convert. And I believe that every convert, the first person they should meet in the church is the pastor. The pastor should be able to lay the foundation for the future. Hello? Not leave it up to Tom, Dick, and Harry and any other person. Because if you understand what Christianity is all about, the opposition, the pressure, and all of it. And so we have to come to the place, brothers and sisters, to be able to understand it. You know why the nation is that shaken? Why is that shaken? Because everybody wants those degrees for the higher level, higher learning. But me, with my degree, I will not bring myself to impact this. But we need skillful people from here to lay the foundation. I ask you this. Ask the secondary school what they have to deal with. Right? Please listen to this. I know I took some of your time, but listen to this. How under God heaven that a child go through secondary school, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5, and still at Form 5 cannot read. That when exam, you have to get a teacher to read the questions for them. Does that bother us? What happened? How did they get there then? Hello? So you see the problem that you're encountering when you get to the secondary school level because some basic things they did not. Little etiquette and these kind of things. Say thank you. Could you say thank you, please, because somebody stretched something to you? Yes, I am. From that level. But brothers and sisters, something must be, we got to readjust something. We have to pay attention to it because we have to be able to come to this place to be able to understand this and to believe that. I am on a drive right now as the person in charge of the men's ministries department, trying to bring our men together. And one of the aim is to identify young men who are ready for ministry so that we can equip them so that they can carry the work right here in Grenada. Because if we don't raise some people to carry out the work, I tell you the truth, we'll be in real trouble. And the thing that hurts you most, hear what hurts you most. What hurts you most is the fact, brothers and sisters, that you have labored to build something and somebody just come and they just mash it up because they don't see anything important in it. Today, what do we need to know to make the right decision, right choices? Right decision is to know right from wrong. If you know right from wrong, nobody could tell me otherwise. I know that. Nobody could make me do this because I know that. Huh? Your other children tell you, they make me do it, they tell me do it, and they tell me to do that, and they tell me to do the other. I want to encourage us, church, because I believe we have a very important role to play in nation building, in the educating of our children, be it academically, be it religiously. But I believe so it is important for us as parents so that we again focus on the home, we focus on the earlier stage of their lives, and even as they grow older, then the work should become easier. We didn't have to do all this fighting at this higher level with them if we had done it, brothers and sisters, at the initial stage. We want to trust God and we want to believe God today that God will continue to help us. So educators, police officers, and others who are faced with the challenges, and for all of us, we want to allow the Lord to have his way today. Please stand with me as we bring this session to a close.